From the earliest of ages, many of us are exposed to the phenomenal power of narrative. At bedtime, around a campfire, a story takes us on a journey. It transports us so we see new places from new perspectives and understand new things. The impact of stories for children is profound. But my contention is that the power of narrative is far greater than many people realize. And it certainly isn't limited to children and bedtime stories. Narrative is a way of communicating, and it's also a way of knowing. All of us, scientists, artists, politicians, engineers, we're storytellers. We all need to understand the power of narrative. Let's unpack this story. This is ASU. Stories are everywhere. Of course, you know we find stories in places like literature, film, theater, comic books, poetry, and podcasts. But stories are in so many places. They're ubiquitous. Nearly everywhere you look, you'll find stories. In the news media, video games, in religion and advertising, in psychology and economics, in politics and history. History even has the word story embedded in it. You'll find stories in sports. If you've ever watched the Olympics or any other major sporting events like the Super Bowl or the World Cup, you've heard so many stories prior to the event itself. The coverage will feature stories about the athletes and teams, stories about the adversity they've faced and overcome, the challenges they faced along the way to this big moment. And by the time the event actually starts, you'll be primed with stories that will give the competition a sense of drama it may not have had otherwise. You'll also find stories in science. That may sound strange, but science is not simply a pile of brute facts like the atomic weight of barium. Whenever a scientist describes a process, like the formation of planets or stars, the interaction of chemicals, or the evolution of a species, they are telling a story. Theorist Roland Barthes captures the ubiquity of story in a powerful passage. He says, "The narratives of the world are numberless. Narrative is first and foremost a prodigious variety of genres, themselves distributed amongst different substances, as though any material were fit to receive man's stories. Able to be carried by articulated language, spoken or written, fixed or moving images, gestures. Moreover, under this almost infinite diversity of forms, narrative is present in every age, in every place, in every society. It begins with the very history of mankind. All classes, all human groups have their narratives, enjoyment of which is very often shared by men with different, even opposing cultural backgrounds. Caring nothing for the division between good and bad literature, narrative is international, transhistorical, transcultural. It is simply there, like life itself." It's a remarkable quote. Narrative is transhistorical. It has existed throughout all of human history. It's transcultural. It exists in every culture. So who are the storytellers? Well, of course, they're people like novelists, playwrights, screenwriters, and journalists. But everyone is a storyteller. Your friends, your neighbors, your family. What are some of the stories that you remember from your childhood? You are a storyteller. You may not be a novelist or a screenwriter, but you're still a storyteller. In your daily life, you are constantly telling stories. When someone asks you, How was your day? If you don't just say, fine, you will probably tell some kind of story. It may not be terribly exciting. You may not have led a revolution against an oppressive galactic empire or solved a murder mystery, but you will tell a story. Stories are everywhere. Look for them. Notice them. What are they telling you about your world? Who is telling them, and why? Being aware of the narratives around you, particularly the ones from unexpected directions, will heighten your awareness of the bigger stories out there, the underlying narratives. It will also help you to use storytelling in your own world. Everyone loves to tell a story. Make sure you know how to spot them and use them. This was ASU. Thank you for watching.